Well, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for Bulldogs Behind the Scenes, where we'll take a look at the newly renovated main production kitchen on campus. Before we begin, we are going to take a moment here to pause so that everyone has a chance to log on. While we wait, feel free to type your name, grad year if you're an alum, and where you're tuning in from in the chat box, and we'll begin in just a moment. Well, my name is Molly Clevin, and I'm with the UMD Alumni Relations team. Today's webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded to our alumni website once you receive an email with a link once the video is ready. At the end of the presentation, we will be answering live questions, and so to submit a question, use the Q&A button on the bottom of your screen. So now to introduce our guests. Today we will hear from Krista Padgett and Kristin Kirtz. Krista has more than 15 years of experience in hospitality and dining services. She holds a master's degree in organization development and is passionate about creating welcoming dining experiences and positive workplace cultures. Outside of work, Krista enjoys gardening, cooking, exploring the North Shore, and spending time with her family on their hobby farm. Kristin is the head of marketing and communications for UMD Dining Services, where she leads marketing initiatives, storytelling, and student engagement. With a background in journalism and communications, she is passionate about building strong brands and connections. Outside of work, Kristin enjoys curling, karaoke, and spending time with her pets. So please join me in welcoming Krista and Kristin.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here with us. We were delighted to be able to partner with this. A lot of times when you work in dining services, you don't necessarily find yourself in front of a crowd very often. And so we're excited for a little engagement and also to show off our kitchen. It's been quite the journey. And so we're going to talk through that a little bit today. Some things that we'll cover today, generally a look inside the kitchen, a little virtual tour, and specifically we'll talk a little bit about where we've been, why this change was needed, and a little bit of a look toward the future for our current and future Bulldogs. And Kristin, who's been with the organization for quite some time now, is going to walk through a little bit of our history with you.
Hi, everyone. Like Krista said, we're excited to be here. I've been with the organization for almost 7 years, and I have seen a lot of change in that time. Even though it's not that long of a time, it just keeps growing, and it's exciting, and it's just exciting to share one small piece of the story here. So before we get started, I really want to showcase this video for a couple of reasons. One, I think it's just a really good glimpse behind the scenes. And two, I love to show off things that my student workers make. I have a team of 8 marketing students, and they are so talented, and it's so fun to get to watch them grow and for them to share their talents with us and help them kind of build a portfolio, a professional portfolio before they enter the world outside of UMD. So I'm just gonna show this video for you.
Welcome to the future of flavor at the University of Minnesota Duluth. Designed with precision, our new layout is all about flow. We've optimized every inch to reduce cross-traffic and maximize efficiency. From dedicated prep zones to seamless service lines, this ensures that our team can focus on what they do best, creating fresh, high-quality meals with zero friction. Check out these upgrades. We're talking smart technology at every station, from high-capacity roll-in ovens to rotating bakery racks and several new walk-in freezers and coolers. Our new smart gadgets don't just help us cook faster. They give our chefs the precision they need to elevate every recipe, from house-made breads to global favorites. Safety and cleanliness, non-negotiable. Welfare and sustainability are baked into our DNA. Our new energy-efficient ventilation and water-saving dish systems help us lead the way in green campus initiatives. You can trust that every meal is prepared in a world-class, ultra-clean environment. And the best part, what this renovation means for your plate. Our expanded capacity allows for a rotating international menu and a massive boost to our inclusive options. Whether you're looking for vegan-friendly entrees or dedicated gluten-free desserts, we're serving up fresh, scratch-made choices that make everyone feel at home at the table. Behind every great campus is a kitchen that never stops. For the students and staff who power UMD, we have meals ready to match your drive. For the Bulldogs yet to join us, we have a seat waiting for you at the table. We can't wait to serve you. So come see and taste the difference for yourself. UMD Dining, we're just getting started.
All right, so wasn't that good? I'm just so proud of Max for making that. But anyways, so what I'm going to talk to you a little bit is just kind of looking back at the past. Our kitchen that we were cooking out of prior to this renovation was built back in the 1970s, and it was designed in order to feed about 700 to 800 students a day. And it we were pushing the limits with that quite a bit. In these photos here, you'll actually see a couple of pieces of equipment from back then that we actually still were using until this renovation. You'll see in an upcoming video, there's a meat cutter that's like self-working now, whereas back in the day, you had to manually do it. So it's kind of fun to see the changes. We even had a couple pieces of equipment in our kitchen that were from the 50s. So we definitely got our money's worth out of that equipment. But we're excited for some new stuff. For those of you that maybe were on campus recently or within the last handful of years, you may have even worked in the kitchen. Some of these pictures might seem a little familiar to you. What I really want to point out in these photos is with this kitchen, we were producing about 7,500 meals a day, not the 700 to 800 like it was designed for. So when I said we were pushing it, we were really pushing it. But you'll see in these photos, it's kind of dark. It's kind of grungy. It's dated machinery. Notice those lovely tile floors. We're excited those are gone. Mostly because during the winter and spring, when the ground would shift, those floors would actually buckle and the tiles would stack on top of each other, and we would have to have construction crews come in and they would have to chisel out a piece of the floor and replace the tile, and this would happen numerous times every season. So that got to be a little much. Now with the new kitchen, they completely dug out all those floors, completely redid it, and now there will be no more buckling. So we're very excited for that, for not only aesthetic reasons, but safety reasons too. So it's all getting much better. On top of that, the old kitchen just wasn't laid out in a way that was efficient. It didn't have good workflow and it lacked a lot of useful storage. So as you can see, we were in a much needed place for change. For example, when I say that we didn't have a lot of storage, in order to serve lunch and dinner at the appropriate times, we had to prepare food well in advance, and then we would store that food in hot boxes before serving it. And you can imagine why maybe that wasn't the best for quality. Now, the kitchen allows us to free up cooking equipment, cook more when it's ready. We can put it out on the buffet line right away, which really helps with quality. And because our equipment isn't tied up, we also have the space now and resources for our team to innovate and recipe test. And that means that before, when we didn't have that, we were literally putting that stuff on the back burner. So we're excited to be able to give our staff space to innovate and recipe test and all of that good stuff.
So as we looked forward, thinking about both why we needed this renovation and connecting with our mission, we've stated that we're dedicated to supporting and improving the student and community experience by providing nourishment, fostering a strong sense of community, and creating a welcome and inclusive dining experience. And so a lot of those things, as you can imagine, were a little harder to accomplish without the proper space. And so as we look forward to what that would look like for us on our renovation timeline, you'll see this was quite a long project. We started this timeline with the design being finalized, which took a couple years before that prior of work just in the design phase. And we've noted a couple timeframes on here. Demolition of the production kitchen, which is a special date for me. That was actually my first day on the job here, which what a wild time to join an organization, but has been really neat. I feel like the kitchen and myself have got to evolve together through this. So that is a fun one for me personally. You can see there's a gap between the beginning of the demolition of the kitchen and when we received a temporary kitchen that was constructed underneath the Superior Dining Center. It was essentially two trailer kitchens put together, which was maybe a third of the space we're used to producing out of in total, including storage spaces. So kneecapped us a little bit. And I'll note that in that summer time frame, we operated entirely without it, including our very large football camps. And I'm really proud of our team's flexibility and resilience in all of this. I think it's funny that in the top third of this graphic, our original completion date is listed, and also par for the course with large construction projects. Lots of stuff happened. It should have been done as quoted in February of 2025. We were able to partially move in December of 2025, and we were able to fully move in January of 2026. And so for a nearly 2-year construction project, I'm including move-in and reorganization. That's quite a haul for our team. A lot of operational changes, even from demolition to temporary kitchen to full kitchen, and I'm really proud of how well our team handled that. Next, we'll talk through a little bit of what the transformation looks like side by side, right? So you can see some really similar locations. As Kristin mentioned earlier, some of those issues were addressed in the remodel. It's much brighter, which also means it's much safer, much wider walkways, making sure it's accessible and safe. Updated body-friendly equipment. And as we look through photos, I'll point those things out. One of the things you can see in here is in the sort of in the back, the really large kettles you can see that will be addressed in a future video. They tilt to empty into whether that's storage containers, serving containers, or to empty to clean, which helps reduce the load on our staff's body. You'll notice that there's additional storage under counter, which keeps all of our walkways really clear. And that's, again, safety and making sure they're all at heights and levels that folks of various abilities can reach. And making sure we have adequate trash recycling, compost, and up to code hand washing stations at right heights for accessibility as well. And we're going to go on a little tour through the kitchen here. And so we want to highlight that as we talk about those things, it's scale, quality, and innovation are the things that we speak to within this. And I do want to point out this mural, which is fully inside of our kitchen and not real common to see art in our spaces, but our team are lovely people who enjoy the arts too. And so we were able to install a food-centric mural in our operation. And I think that's really special for our team and not a consideration that's often made. So I'm going to have Kristin help me advance through some of these slides as we walk through some of these areas with short little clips. This is our baking and pastry area. Cold production and food prep. So that looks like our grab and go and vegetable production. Hot production line for foods going to Superior Dining, catering, and our food court. This is our little grab and go station, which have cooled countertops for food quality and safety, so things remain cold while we prep. You'll notice, again, very bright, wider walkways, accessible heights in all of that, which was really important to us. We'll head through our next zone.
This is actually going to be Cheney with an interview, who's our executive chef.
favorite new piece of equipment is our giant dough mixer. The dough mixer actually has the capability of mixing up to 300 pounds at a time, and it actually takes the lifting off of our staff's shoulders quite literally and moves it into the piece of equipment that's able to kind of have the action to lift all of that heavy product right directly onto our tables. So I'm really excited to have equipment that kind of saves our employees bodies, honestly. They're, cooking is a really difficult job, and it's really hard on people's bodies. So the things that we've kind of put in place that are able to take some of that burden off of them and hopefully add more longevity to their careers is really exciting.
Amy is the executive chef of the main production kitchen, and she's been with the organization for almost a decade as well. And we are so grateful to have her. She's an innovative, creative thinker who's really focused on making sure we have inclusive menus. This is some live action of some of those baking equipment. You can fit up to 2 full speed racks that rotate in those ovens, which really increases our capacity for baking and consistency. It's really lovely. Lots of our student workers, which we're so grateful for their dedication. That lifted mixer, is also one of my favorite pieces of equipment. It's unique and very, very cool. It also means we're more consistent with our product. 1 large batch versus 20 small batches will certainly be more consistent over time, which is really important to our guests. I see the note about the slicer safety, and you are correct. They have lots more finger guards than they used to these days. And then we'll hear from our team.
This is where we organize all of our already cut vegetables to send to other operations. This is where we keep all of our whole vegetables. Over here is like our bulk cut vegetables, things that are cut and ready to be measured out. And then this comes out right into our produce area. So this piece of equipment is really cool. It's a giant mixing kettle. This allows us to do things like soups, stews, mashed potatoes, shredded meat products, things like that, with a lot less strength and durability coming from our staff, right? So this machine actually does a lot of the hard work for us. And what this does is it has...
Turn that down a little bit, that beeping. There we go.
A giant mixer and paddles built in so that it does all of that stirring work for us. Normally in our old kitchen, we would have had to use big like oars, if that makes sense, like paddles you use in a paddle boat, to actually mix all of the items, soups, stews, all of that. Now we've got this giant kettle that actually does a lot of that hard work for us. Difficult to clean, but worth it in the long run.
And I'll note it was a little hard to notice in that video, but along a couple stop points in that section of the kitchen where those kettles and tilt skillets that will move up and down, there are hoses that have our cleaning chemical and water, so we don't have to haul anything back and forth. Again, it's easier on us, and it's safer to not be wheeling around boiling water with cleaning chemicals in it near food preparation as well. Got a really nice new wok station, expanded fryer access. It's really been a blessing to have adequate equipment in our spaces. Has really changed how we operate entirely. And I think next we'll hear outside of the kitchen, how does this impact superior dining, where Andy is our executive chef? So the residential dining hall's perspective on this remodel.
Try this. There we go.
The new kitchen equipment that we have provides us a better ability to lean a little bit more into South Asian and Eastern Asian cuisines that we didn't really have the ability to do before, because all of our equipment was very old. You can't really stir fry things in a steam jacketed kettle very well. And we do a lot of work with the Multicultural Center on events that serve those populations on campus. And so being able to prepare them more authentic foods at a higher quality is something that we've all been really excited about. The bakery upgrade that we got has been really cool to kind of watch evolve, developing a new bread program, developing new desserts, leading into the ability to produce gluten-free and vegan desserts more so they can be more accessible to our campus community.
I think Andy highlighted the piece about the bakery that, to me, home-baked bread and desserts are one of those really comforting pieces of home. And we talk about that a lot when we plan our menus, because home means so many different things. We try to look at a really wide perspective and pay attention to what current student census looks like. So we'll look next at a little bit of what students are gravitating to, some of the things off the menus that we're creating that are new. That's really always very cool to see how students put plates together. We got to make soups from scratch again, which we were all delighted by because everyone prefers a homemade soup. And we had really missed our team being able to provide that. I love seeing so much color and variety. We recognize that there were a healthy proportion of students who maybe didn't recognize that we were doing the renovation, regardless of how often we talked about it. And it's interesting to see over our surveys how that was impacted, whether they knew we were doing the renovation or not. And so Kristin's going to speak a little bit to that because she oversees some of that engagement with our students.
Yeah, so Krista says, I have a team of marketing students I work with, about 8 of them, and together we do 2 large surveys every single year, one in the fall and one in the spring. And something that I thought was really worth taking note of this year was that our customer satisfaction normally in the spring when we do our survey is lower in the spring than it is in the fall. And we attribute that to the fact that it's just been a long year, students are more tired in the spring, and also menu fatigue. They're eating in the exact same space every single day, and that probably would get old for anyone. And we can recognize that and empathize with that, which is why we're working on continually creating exciting rotating menus. And we are seeing customer satisfaction raise every year. But what was different this year was when our kitchen opened up in January, for the first time ever in the 7 years I've been here, our customer satisfaction score actually went up 2% compared to fall instead of going down compared to fall. So that was really exciting to see. In the comments in the survey, students were talking about how the food had better flavor, how it tasted more fresh, how they were just really enjoying the food this semester. And a lot of them didn't even realize, like Krista mentioned, that we were under construction. They're freshman students. They didn't know any different, right? So it was interesting to see that even if they weren't aware of the construction, they could taste it on their plates. And that was really exciting for us to see. Something else that we are really proud of that I am going to call out is that right now we're at about a 66% satisfaction, satisfied or very satisfied rating. The average in the United States for college and dining programs college and university dining programs hovers around 50 to 55%. So we are doing better than the average. And I think it's going to continue to improve as we continue to develop new menus over the next few years and continue to develop and expand upon our programs. For example, the bakery program that everyone is talking about in the videos. Both Cheney and Andy are very excited about our new bakery program. So I think we're going to continue to impress and hopefully please our students. We also see two camps of students in our surveys every year. There's one camp of students that they want the same old, same old. They want safe foods. They want what they recognize from home. They want chicken strips. They want the pasta bar. But what they do talk about is that they want high quality chicken strips and high quality pasta, right? And then we have a second camp of students who want new foods. They want to expand their palate. They want to try foods that they never got to eat at home. They want large variety of foods. And we believe that this kitchen really allows us to do both those things, to accomplish both those things. Our quality of food has gone up. Like I said earlier, we're not having to put food in heat boxes for hours before we serve them. And then we're able to expand our menus and offer more variety for our students. So we only are looking up from here, in my opinion.
I agree. A really important factor in this as we think about who are we impacting with this, the students certainly, but our staff also, and I couldn't sing their praises enough about their hard work, their dedication and resilience in this whole process. I think at times it maybe got a little bit hard to believe that there was going to be any light at the end of the tunnel because it was so delayed. But at the end of it, we see these things, right? We have a safer, more accessible environment. The improved workflows mean they're more able to do their job, and they have the ability to focus on their craft and be innovative, flexible, try new recipes. And we currently, I'm so proud to say that our team is so talented. We recruit from the best restaurants in Duluth, or outside of Duluth. And I think it's really cool that we're a part of a larger group of folks who are changing the narrative around campus dining from it's sort of you get what you get and you don't pitch a fit, lots of hot dish, only chicken tenders. We still serve a significant portion of them. But we have a much wider range and a whole heck of a lot more intention on quality, and that community and piece of home that we talked about. And so not only am I so grateful to our staff and that they get to do those things, but I also really appreciate this and so many other chances during and after this remodel to talk about the work that we do, because most of it is behind closed doors and is unseen, often misunderstood or underappreciated. And those of you who maybe worked in our kitchen can remember those things, right? You don't really often see the dishwasher or get to say thank you. And so opportunities like this get a lot of visibility to our team. So beyond the direct daily impact, part of that impact is also just sharing awareness of what we do and how we do it. And so we've been really grateful to do that as well. And it's been so wonderful to see the campus community come do in-person tours and interact with our team, and gain that greater understanding and appreciation for what we believe is a craft. So that's been really great. And as for the campus, there's a couple things. I'll speak to the campus reaching in general. We're able to just be better partners, which was really wonderful for us. We do lots of catering and lots of events that Kristin will speak a little bit more to. And so this doesn't only support us doing those things, but when we talk about that inclusive, welcoming experience that creates community for our student and community members here on campus, for you, that translates also as retention, growth at UMD. And that positive student experience probably means that the folks are more likely to engage with the campus moving forward and creating a stronger Bulldog community in future years as well. And so we're happy to be a really important part of that. Not everyone might go to a chemistry lab, but everyone eats. And so we have a really unique place to be able to connect with so many folks on campus. And so that impact is really far reaching in that aspect. And Kristin's been able to spearhead some really cool things that we're able to do more with. And I'm so glad to get to hear about that from her.
Yeah, so one thing that my team and I started a few years back were these dinners called the Multicultural Dinner Series. And we would work with student organizations out of the Multicultural Center. And Andy spoke to this a little bit, so I'm going to piggyback off him in that from that video, which is that there were certain foods that they would want on their menu because we allow the students to design their menu to let us know what they want to serve to represent their cultures. And there were foods that we either had to kind of come up with substitutes for the recipes or that we just couldn't do. And we had to say, sorry, we just can't handle that. Our kitchen can't do that. But now with this new kitchen, we're able to expand upon that and we're able to say yes so much more often. We have the equipment to do those meals in an authentic way. When these students share a recipe with us that comes from grandma, we're able to take that, research it, figure out how to make it in bulk and not just for a family size. And it allows our chefs to really dig in and kind of expand their culinary skills. So I often hear from our cooks at the multicultural dinners are their favorite and most rewarding nights. They're hard. They have to learn a lot. They take a lot of prep, but they learn so much about different cultures. They get to flex their culinary skills. And they have, our cooks have a lot of fun cooking foods that aren't on our normal menu rotation. So this kitchen really just allows us to do this more often and with more accuracy. On top of that, foods that do become hits that night, foods that have a lot of take, foods that the students compliment a lot. A lot of times Chef Andy will actually remember that and then add it to the menu rotation for future semesters because he knows that students loved it. So it's really fun to be able to expand our menus and represent more cultures in a better light than what we had been able to do with our old kitchen. So that's definitely a huge impact on campus and how we can show up as better partners.
So what's next, right? What are we going to do with all this really cool equipment and ample room? And we're working on those plans, but in general, we all agree that we want to work on menu innovation. So more dynamic dining, which for us means more and less in some respects, more variety on our menu, and less restrictions on how and when we can prepare things, which will hopefully mean that that is better quality as well. Continued partnerships, which should result in enhancing the student life experience. One thing that we're excited to move into as we come into this fall and forward are some robust planning towards addressing food insecurity on campus and creating some partnerships with Student Life and our on-campus food shelf champs cupboard to do some food rescue and recovery that we didn't have the capacity for before. Looks like some of those events Kristin spoke to, and it looks like things we've not done before that we want to create, whether that be new and exciting events for our community, or partners with our vendors to bring folks on campus to partner with us. We're looking at some cool new experience. And then ongoing improvements, we've committed to continuous growth. This isn't an end goal post entirely. This is a stop along the way for us. And so we're grateful that our team has the capacity and ability to think forward. And I hope for all of you joining this as alumni, I hope that you have two experiences, both I really am reflecting and thinking about my experience with dining or student life or my experience on campus and have those wonderful fond memories shared around a table. I got to hear some of them from some alumni yesterday at a lunch about when the dining center used to be in Kirby and that it was such a gathering place to play cards, to have a cup of coffee, chat with the folks who were serving that day. I want our students to have that. And I also want them to join events like this or come back to campus and say, dang, that's really cool. How wonderful for our current students and our future students. And so in that mindset, we want the continued growth so that we can continue to meet the needs of our students. That is the bulk of the presentation that we have, but I think we should have time to answer some questions. And it sounds like we have a couple.
We do. Well, thank you both for sharing about this important resource on campus. And as Krista mentioned yesterday, we did have a group of about 20 alums come back for a reunion and were able to dine in Superior Dining, and it sparked a lot of memories. So it's really a fun partnership that we have also with Dining Services. So as I mentioned in the beginning, if you'd like to submit a question, you can use the Q&A box on the bottom of the screen. It looks like there are a few already submitted. We did have some questions come in advance through the registration, and so we'll try to get through as many as we can here, but feel free to drop them in the Q&A. So I think kind of a good place to start, there's some questions around just the different concepts and stations and food options that are available now because of this renovation. Can either one of you talk or speak to those in a little bit greater depth?
Yeah, I can talk about that a little bit. So we have in the past, and especially during renovation, had to really limit what we could produce in-house. We're proud to have a mostly scratch kitchen, and we had to kind of go back on that a little bit and do more purchased kind of heat and serve type things. And so that looks like not less serving stations. We have the same amount of serving space in Superior Dining, but that the things coming out of those stations are from scratch and more variety. So our menu rotation can be filled with more variety. For instance, if we were serving chicken tenders 3 times a week because that's what we could produce at the time, well, maybe we can serve chicken tenders once or twice a week and add a new dish onto the menu. And with that, Kristin and I have been working with Andy in Superior Dining to create some sort of headliners for the stations to help students figure out where they want to eat. So we'll have a dedicated station for globally inspired foods. We'll have a dedicated station for our grill. So that's those kind of sandwiches, burgers, hot dogs, that kind of station. So we've got that as well. One we call home style favorites. So we haven't entirely done away with hot dishes because we would never, but we have a space for those sort of home style favorites for the folks who maybe grew up in this part of the world to land. A chef's corner where we have a chef's feature saute station, which is a little more made to order with a lot greater variety and creativity, which is another way that our chefs can now flex that muscle and share their passion with the students. And some build your own space that will be enhanced now with the ability to prep for that, which includes like a build your own pasta bar type station, and then a big, if you're familiar with the big Mongolian grill where we can stir fry things to order, as well as a pizza station. Also desserts and ice cream and subs, sandwiches, salads, snack station. And then we have a dedicated allergen-free station. So folks who have really severe or multiple allergies know that everything served on the allergen-free station is free of all top 9 allergens. And soup, of course. We have multiple soups every day. And we make sure that underneath that we can meet vegan, vegetarian, egg, dairy. Most of our menu at any given time is free of most of, or at least one of those things. So there's a really wide variety every day for folks to eat.
And then Krista, there was a question that came in that's relevant to what you're talking about, but who or what ensures that your meals meet nutrition standards?
Yeah, so we work with a college and university dining specific dietitian group. They're called Menu Analytics, and they proof all of that to make sure all the dietary things are in line, so that we are presenting accurate information. And I think the way that this question is worded is asking in kind of in line in how it would work in like a senior living facility or in a K through 12 school where there's specific sets of dietary outlines that you have to meet. And those don't actually exist in that way for college and university dining because these are adults. And so they don't have that restriction necessarily. However, we still make sure that all nutrient information is provided, all ingredients are provided, and that every day we have a very wide variety of several different kinds of proteins, starches, vegetables, in both the ones that we prepare and cook on that stir fry station I mentioned. So if you just want steamed broccoli, you can get that there. And then salad station as well to offer a really wide variety of all those things at any given time. But I think the way that question was worded was maybe asking about if there's a specific guideline we have to follow, and there isn't. We just provide a real wide variety to make sure we have a lot of access.
Perfect. There are a couple questions about the physical space. So wondering if it's located in the same area under the actual dining center. And then the second kind of part 2 to that question is the new kitchen the same amount of square footage as the old one?
Yeah, so it is in the same space. It is under Kirby Drive. So it's the space of Kirby Drive that's directly underneath the dining center. And then the inside entry would come into the Kirby Lounge area. It is the same area. It's the same footprint ish. Because we reorganized, there's a couple spaces that weren't necessarily part of the production space of the kitchen, but were a dining services location. For instance, Kristin's office, that has now become a part of the production space. And so we reorganized how we use that square footage to maximize flow and add a little bit more production space. And there was a couple storage rooms included in that. So the square footage is not exactly the same for the production space, but because it's underground, we were kind of limited to how much we could move. So it exists in a space that was already there. It's just used a little differently than it was before.
Yeah, my office is now a walk-in cooler. So very glad I don't have a desk in there anymore.
Okay, so we're going to shift a little bit. There's a question that came in that was wondering, and you sort of talked about this too, with the large kettles that they can self-tilt and take off some of the physical strain on your staff. But what is something else about the kitchen that most people might not notice, but makes a big difference for your staff?
Yeah, that's a great question. The improved efficiency and organization capability. And we didn't, based on how large most folks' screens are, we didn't put a whole blueprint of the kitchen because it'd be really hard to see. But essentially, we organized it in a way where you would receive things in the warehouse. They're moved to either a production or a produce cooler that's on one side of the kitchen, and then they're adjacent to the production spaces. So it moves in a logical, not paths cross way from the warehouse to ready for production, into a production space, into a finished cooler space. And so that means there's a whole heck of a lot less running back and forth or needing to cross paths, which makes a huge difference, especially if you looked in the pictures of the old kitchen where it was a little bit dark and hard to see around corners, and the walkways weren't as wide to get the carts through, and we had less storage space. The way that the flow worked through the kitchen was really intentionally designed to make sure that we could maximize that. And it was maybe hard to pick up if you weren't already aware of it, but the produce cooler that Cheney was walking through has those library sort of racks that roll back and forth so we can use as much space in there as possible. She noted walking into the cooler, those racks were on the right-hand side. And if you caught it, she took a turn and actually walked out another door. And that's because that particular cooler has a different entrance and exit and is an L shape, so that folks working in produce on the far end can use the far door, and folks working on the hotline on the opposite side where she entered can use that door. So they also aren't having to cross each other or worry about maybe hitting folks with the door on their way in or out. And so those really small but intentional details make a huge difference in how the kitchen operates.
So thinking about sustainability, what does Dining Services do in terms of sustainability initiatives? Are you currently involved in any type of initiatives? Do you compost? What happens with the food waste? If you could speak to that.
This is one of my favorite topics, and I'm excited to listen to Krista talk about it because she's much better at it, but I'm very excited someone asked about this.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll be better at it. I'd be happy for you to add anything if I miss, because it's a big bucket. We're really focused on sustainability. So we do lots of things. One, we cook from scratch, which means less things come in plastic. and non-reusable containers than they do if they are brought in reusable crates or in recyclable cardboard boxes. And so we do a lot of that from scratch. We do our best to use as much of the products that we receive as we can. We also compost. To your question, yes, we do recycle and compost. We not only compost, but when we built this kitchen, we built the equipment to make sure that we could hold it in a way that the product was still quality when it is sent out to the actual composting facility. So we have a dedicated machine that sort of macerates things a little bit, so it's in smaller pieces, and then also a dedicated compost cooler while that compost remains, especially underground in warm environments is not the place that you want to have food waste. And so anything that is composted is kept chilled until it moves to the composting facility to ensure it's still in a good quality when it leaves here. And we do that composting collection in all of our areas. And that's really widely used on campus as well, but specific to dining services because we produce a lot of the food type waste for composting. We've made a commitment that anything that we put in a single-use container is compostable. So if you visit any of our locations and you take something to go, the container that it comes in is compostable, including your drink cup, your straw, any of the plasticware you may have, or any of the containers themselves. Now, we haven't been able to extend that to some of our vendors. So if you get a ketchup packet that comes from a third party, that's still whatever material they made that with. But anything that we are serving to go is either in a compostable container or a reusable container, which is another sustainability and accessibility tool that we use. You can purchase, it's essentially a dining services Tupperware, and it's yours forever. You either bring it back or we'll trade you for a token for next time. But those reusable containers we use in all of our locations where we have hot food served as well. So if you have a class at 3, but you don't have time to grab lunch between 11 and 2 because you work or something to that effect, you can grab a to-go box. And that's one way that we also reduce that compost waste and food waste, and we make sure that our students stay fed. So sustainability for the earth and also for our people to make sure you can eat, or if you're like a 2 a.m. eater, you can grab a to-go box before we close and take that with you. It's included in your meal plan. We are also working on, like I mentioned, some food recovery things that we didn't have the capacity for before. So some of the things that we'll be implementing in the upcoming years will be to open up at the end of a catering event for any students who wish for like a 20-minute time frame. We'll provide to-go boxes that they can box up any of the food left at a catering event for our on-campus partners to reduce food insecurity and to reduce waste. Anything that we have, say we made 16 pans of lasagna and we only needed 13 in superior dining, because with any self-serve environment, to ensure we have a lot of food option, there is no way to avoid having some kind of food waste and have continuous service. And so there's a couple things we did to support repurposing that. One is that we have blast chillers now. And so a blast chiller is just a piece of technology that super cools the food, which maintains quality and safety. So we blast chill food, which then means we're able to repurpose that either into freezer meals. Meals we'll potentially be serving in Champ's Cupboard, or like a community meal, or to offer in our grab and go location. So then if you want like a grab and go reheat lasagna situation, we can offer that at low cost because it was part of production that was already worked into our system. So there's a couple of those pieces we're working into as we settle into our space, but also come with having really cool technology that allows us to do that without losing quality and safety. I addressed a lot of it, Kristin. I am certain I'm missing something.
I'm sure we are too, but I feel like you touched the 2 points I really wanted to talk about, which was the new almost garbage disposal that like puts it out, separates the food waste. Yeah, and then the reusable boxes I wanted to talk about too. So I will say that about 99% of our waste is kept out of the landfill. It is either composted, recycled, or reused. So we're really proud of our sustainable efforts.
Well, I think we have time for one more question, and it's kind of a personal question for each of you. What is your favorite meal that you serve, or concoction that you make? I always ask our alumni this when they come back to visit, and I hear some wild things. So I'm curious what each one of yours are.
Oh, so I'm not a vegetarian, but I tend to frequent the vegetarian or vegan station because there is a squash uh um oh my gosh, what is the name of it, Krista? Can you remember? It's a
Curry?
squash curry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is so good. It is definitely one of my favorite things. We also have I don't like mushrooms. So this blew my mind that I liked it, but it's a mushroom bread pudding that you serve with a pureed squash. And I was brave one day and tried it, and now every time we serve it, I like run to it. It's so good. So I really enjoy both those things. Apparently, I'm a big squash eater now. I didn't know this about myself prior to working here.
Awesome. Krista, what's yours?
Um, this is the butternut squash curry is also one of my favorites. I think that sometimes folks read identifiers at times and are like, "Oh, I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan, I can't eat that." But I think some of our most outstanding food are those dishes. Um, and I'm not a vegan or vegetarian either. I just really like vegetables too. But that vegan butternut squash curry is fabulous. But my favorite food that we serve that I don't get this time of year because it's too hot is the mushroom bourguignon. It's got mashed potatoes and this really wonderful hearty mushroom gravy. It's French style stewed dish. But that's one of my favorites. It's so comforting and rich and delicious. And when winter is 6 to 12 months long, it's really fantastic and heartwarming dish. So that's one of my favorites too.
I will also add, because it's famous, the wild rice chicken soup is back to being scratch made, and everyone is thankful for that, and I crave it often. And I think we're going to go back to selling it by the gallon again in the fall from our catering
Yes.
department. So that's always a popular hit with the campus community.
Well, good thing we are over the lunch hour here. That all everyone's hungry now. Also, so Superior Dining and the food court are open to the public. So if folks are traveling to campus, stop by. You're welcome to go in and try it for yourselves. And so you can check the website for hours. But I just want to thank both of you for taking the time to share about this important resource on campus. It's been fun watching the chat here. It sounds like there's lots of alumni that used to work in the kitchen in some capacity.
Love it.
Some connections are being formed. So thank you all for joining us. And we host these sessions about 2 times a month. So for our alumni, if you'd like to continue, we welcome you to join us. So, oh, thanks, Kristin, for dropping that in there. Great. Well, thank you both again, and we hope you all have a great day.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.